In a speech accepting the Democratic presidential nomination, Kamala Harris addressed her stance on the war in Gaza, and Federal Reserve Board Chairman Jerome Powell speaks at a key monetary policy event today. Good morning. I'm Corva Coleman from NPR News, and here are today's top stories. Kamala Harris has accepted her party's presidential nomination at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. She used her remarks last night to describe her life story while explaining her ideas for governing the country. Harris also turned to U.S. foreign policy and her position on the war between Hamas and Israel in Gaza.
President Biden and I are working to end this war such that Israel is secure, the hostages are released, the suffering in Gaza ends, and the Palestinian people can realize their right to dignity, security, freedom, and self-determination.
Ceasefire talks continue this week in Cairo as international mediators, including the U.S., push Hamas and Israel to reach a deal to end the months-long war. Negotiators are working on a proposal presented last week. It's meant to narrow the gaps between the two sides. As NPR's Hadil Al-Shalti reports, a deal may take more time than expected to reach.
A Biden administration official confirmed that U.S. envoy Brett McGurk is in Cairo today as part of the ceasefire talks with Israel and Hamas. The official spoke anonymously because they were not authorized to discuss the closed-door talks. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office said that the head of Israel's Internal Security Service and the head of the Mossad have also arrived in Cairo to attend the meetings. While the U.S. has tried to convey optimism, Hamas and Israel have downplayed a deal is close. Both sides continue to blame each other for stalling. One known sticking point in the deal is whether Israeli troops remain in Gaza. Hamas wants a total withdrawal, something Netanyahu has been adamantly against. Hadil Al-Shalti, NPR News, Tel Aviv.
A key monetary policy event is underway in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Federal Reserve Board Chairman Jerome Powell will give a highly anticipated speech. Wyoming Public Radio's Hannah Merzbach reports many expect he might signal that the Fed could soon lower interest rates.
Since the 1980s, central bankers have gathered in Grand Teton National Park every summer in suits and cowboy hats to talk about the economy. This year, Barron's reporter Nicholas Jasinski says they're focused on how the country survived the pandemic and high inflation rates without entering a recession, and on what comes next.
So we're at a very interesting macro moment in the economy. We're not in a recession, people are not losing their jobs, but the unemployment rate is going up and hiring is slowing.
Many anticipate Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell to give subtle clues about future policy at the event, like whether the Fed will start cutting interest rates in mid-September. For NPR News, I'm Hannah Merzbach in Jackson, Wyoming.
The Food and Drug Administration has approved 2 new COVID-19 vaccines. One is made by Pfizer, the other is from Moderna. These could be available as soon as this weekend. The FDA says people 6 months and older should get the vaccine. This is NPR.